Oh my God. Hey, do you like tourists? You're probably a tourist yourself, you bastard. Well, guess what? Today's reaction video is all about tourists ruining Japan. They're coming here, they're breathing my Japanese man's air, and they're making a mess while doing it. And it's all because of Obama or so, I don't know. Anyway, the point is, we got a video about Japan. Frustration grows over tourism. Boom. By our guy, Mr. Tokyo Reporter. And let's get into it, shall we? Let's fucking do it. Yeah, let's do it, man. Foreign tourists in Japan up record. I don't know. Is it really that? It's just, yeah, I don't know. Let's get it. I hate tourists. By the way, in case you guys didn't know, I don't really like them that much. They're all right, but when they're hanging out in my favorite drinking hole, when I'm just trying to get, anyway, point is Obama. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it. Let's do it.
Most Japanese I talk to agree this got to be the #1 issue we need to fix urgently, and their patience reaching the limit. Most Japanese people today prefer domestic one, which means we want to use a hotel or transportation and go to touristy areas.
Domestic tourism is way more popular than going abroad, especially right now for Japanese people.
Japanese people who would usually travel abroad, they can't because the yen is pretty low.
But many Japanese people still can't enjoy domestic travel either.
Rising hotel rates. For higher-end hotels in the center of the city, the figure jumped 24%. This is having a negative effect on domestic travel.
So much so that some of the hotel or places only having foreign tourists and completely pricing out of Japanese ones.
今の時期はもうほぼ 100% 外国人。
日本のお客様はなかなか来てくださらないです。
Since many of the public figures complain about it, the issue frustrates more and more people in Japan.
このホテル代っていうのも近年めちゃくちゃ上がってるなと。値段が高いだけじゃなくて、そもそも予約が取れませんっていうパターンもありますよね。やっぱ都市部ってね、もう外国人本当多いから。
弊害でしかない、害悪でしかないというね、インバウンドの増加で宿泊費が高騰し、客足を遠ざける一因となっている。
外国人ばかり観光して日本人がこもってるみたいなね、そういう社会も不健全だと思うんですよ。
Though most Japanese understand this is not the fault of tourists, they can't help but feel unfair. Some of my Japanese friends even say this, which I kinda understand.
ホテルの値段が上がっちゃうから日本の人が泊まりにくいっていうことですよね。そういった面でデメリットがあるのは
それは解決しないといけないですからね。外国人の方が悪いとは言わないですけど、円安自体しょうがないことですからね。その外国人の方が来るっていうのもしょうがないことですから。
I start feeling that there's some tensions between the residents and the tourism.
Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. Japan has a lot of tourism. Politics are working in how do we approach this?
Some cities kinda forced to take action about it, which make it even harder for domestic travelers. Many Japanese claim that we got to charge foreign tourists higher price and make it easier for domestic people. But many of the workers in tourism say that's difficult to implement, as they worry they might gonna be perceived as racist or xenophobe, which could ruin the whole business or industry.
観光客だけ、例えば海外の人だけ高くするのは違うなって思っていて、それが多分事実だと思うんですけど、金額上げるなら普通にみんな平等に上げたらどうかなって思います。
Another reason why she's against it is that setting different price cause foreign residents trouble. Some of them have got to mistaken as tourists and charged higher.
No. Listen here. Listen here, guys. I got something to tell you. Okay, you're listening? The reason why they don't want to raise prices is because even though people don't like foreign tourists, and even though some people who work in the tourism industry don't like foreign tourists, the whole thing is that they love complaining, but they want money more. That's the whole thing. If there was a majority of people who didn't want foreign tourists, then they would just be like blanket statement. They wouldn't need the government. They'd just be like, yeah, this is a foreigner price and this is that. And they're like, but I live here. Okay, speak some Japanese. Tell me about some stuff. Well, I live here, but I never learned Japanese. Okay, you're in the group over there. You can't come in. It's like, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's like, Japan, like America should put Americans first. Japan should put Japanese people first. And it's like, well, that's easy for you to say, Obama. You speak Japanese. You think you're better than me? Well, if you've been here a long time and you don't speak actual Japanese and you can't read a fucking newspaper, then yeah, I am better than you. And it's ma'am, okay? It's Obama and it's ma'am. I'm sorry. I have not slept very much today, and I am frustrated and angry. But point is that these places, they want money, okay? And Japanese people might spend money, but the foreigners are going to spend more. And even though they might not follow the rules and they might not speak the language, the businesses were struggling so hard for COVID for all those years. And so, and you got to remember, this is only busy places in Japan that are fully booked. If you go to some places like Gifu or some random ass place like Fukui or something, oh bruh, like they got way more open stuff. So what Japanese people are basically saying, I want to go to Kyoto too, but I want to pay these prices. Well, it's like, yeah, just have like a Japanese passport rule. I don't care, but you're not a Japanese citizen. I don't give a fuck. Whatever, man. Let the Japan boy wouch. Let him wouch, because I was told, okay? Let's get back into this, okay? Thanks, Obama. Okay, here we go.
Price, and we got a lot of backlash last year.
Because you'd have to make a split-second decision, right? Like immediately decide, like, oh, this person's a tourist, this person's Japanese.
I have a Zario card, so should I ask for the local price or not?
I don't think you can really charge a different price for. I think it's really hard.
But I understand, and I think it's normal that tourists pay more, especially how the economy is now in Japan.
Some people suggest discount for local, but many of the hotels or business owners wouldn't like the solution. Actually, they need to raise the price even more than now. Material costs are still rising today, and many of them struggling to find workers and feel the need to raise the wage to do so.
やっぱりそのお給料面とかで応募してくれる方がいたりとか大事なのかなってその料金設定するのは
Whole tourism industry in Japan might be struggling to find workers.
Post-pandemic demand saw a rebound in tourists, but the drivers, concerned about the unstable and low-paying nature of their work, did not return to their jobs.
But some of the tourists in Tokyo strongly against it, which is another reason it's hard for many businesses to implement it.
Keep it as it is right now?
We shouldn't charge more.
No. Well, as a tourist, I say no.
For the residents here, charge more tourists. Maybe it's good. But as a tourist, I don't agree with this.
You don't like a higher price, right?
Yeah, of course.
What do you think about the solution?
Hotel price. I don't know. I think it's supply and demand. You can't really solve that.
Maybe different pricing rate for locals and for foreigners.
You wouldn't mind that?
I wouldn't mind, yeah, of course. Because it's an option, it's a choice to come here, so why not pay a little more, right?
But she consistently claims that's not acceptable. In the 80s or 90s, many Japanese people were traveling abroad and basically doing the same as foreign tourists doing now in Japan. So some people say we don't have the right to complain about it because we're gonna do exactly the same when our currency became stronger.
まあ確かに海外の方からして
Nah. Fuck that. This is Japan's country. I am a Japan apologist today. And dude, if they did that, I would be like, yeah, fuck it. Do it. Because that would encourage less people to come here, you know? I think the Japanese government is seeing this as like a Band-Aid, right? Where they're like, well, we don't have any of this other cool shit to make money off of, so let's just suck on the tit of tourism for a couple more years until we get our shit together. And don't worry, China, the checks in the mail, what happened to you, China? You used to be cool. What? China's still cool? You pay later. It's exactly that. And it is ma'am, by the way. Okay, let's keep going. I need sleep.
円がすごい日本に来たら安いって感じるんだと思うんですけど、例えば同じ時間で同じ体験なのに価格だけ全く違うっていうのは変だなって思うので。
After all, this is still difficult to implement for many businesses, which means this issue getting worse and worse. The frustration keeps killing us, and that could lead to further prejudice or xenophobia.
There's like a lot of negativity that has impacted me a little bit. Like I feel like there has been a little bit more distant.
On a social media like Twitter, this kind of comments already prevalent and more and more shared and amplify the frustration, which is affecting the perception of whole foreigners, including the residents.
Like before, like I never had people like women mostly like hold their purse when I walk by, or like they trying to cover up when I'm walking by, like face like a totally different way. I just feel like it has been a little bit worse.
To minimize the issue, many Japanese claim this is necessary in the end.
あまりにもすごい大幅な大きな値段設定だと、確かにかわいそうですけど、経済を回すっていう意味でもいいし、普通に娯楽というか楽しみに来てる人たちだから、お金。
Now going back to this, most young Japanese today have never had a strong yen and might not gonna have in their lifetime, and they are suffering from the rising costs and student loans. So it's totally understandable that they still find it unfair.
For the past couple of decades, Japan's economy has been sluggish and stubborn. Wages, prices, growth, they've all stagnated.
すごい広がってる以上、そういうのをやってみるっていうのは選択肢としてはありなんじゃないかなと。特に京都とか行くとすごいですからね、外国人の方が。
To minimize both issues, many Japanese claim that we got to decrease the number this year, while many of the foreign tourists and residents are against it.
I don't want to say like limit visa. I think people should freely be able to come here. I get what they're trying to say, that it gets too overcrowded sometimes, but you can't really stop them from coming. If they want to go, they want to go.
For the residents here, maybe it's a lot of crowded, but it's good for the economy.
Tourism is a really important part of the economy.
Yeah, the weak yen is very beneficial for American tourists, but it also means American tourists are willing to spend a lot more money.
This is good for the economy, and I feel like whatever issues that might come with like over tourism, I just feel like a lot of people just easily go to like, oh, just like keep them out or kick them out, and it's like, no.
The tourism really do a lot of good.
It seems like there's a gap between Japanese and foreigners. For the Japanese, having this amount of tourists still quite new, while many foreigners find us intolerant.
Same as in India, we have this kind of crowd, but we accept it. The people here, they do not like, they are mostly introverts, I guess, so I guess that's the problem.
And I'm from Hainan actually, and more crowded, so I think this tourism is quite normal.
They will not stand with us, like they will move to the other place. Those kind of problems here in Japan.
It seems okay. I've been to bigger cities, Rome, Paris.
Do you think people are not used to it? Yeah?
That's the issue, because I do not see this in India or in any other Southeast Asian countries, because there it is kind of the same, right? So we do not see this kind of over-tourism issue. So it's kind of more of a people issue.
迷惑というか戸惑いというか、外のものに慣れてないから時間がかかるっていう感じじゃないですかね。はい。
Despite of the
I mean, I was probably going to jump to this conclusion at the end of the video, but, you know, the one thing that I guess the whole reason why I'm okay with, like, lowering the amount of tourism in Japan is because I like Japan being Japanese. I like Japan not catering to people who don't learn Japanese. And I mean, it's kind of like angry old man stuff. Like, I came to Japan with no translator. I came to Japan when there were no smartphones, and I had to struggle, but I feel like it made me a better person because of that. Like, everyone can just have a pocket translator now to talk and say what they want to say, right? But it's just the more Japan... It's like that, it's like the end of the movie Waiting, you know? Have you guys ever watched that? Like, the main character, he's like in the middle of college or something, but he's not taking it seriously, and he has a job as a waiter at like a Denny's or something. And then the guy's like, do you want to be an assistant manager? And then at the end of the movie, he quits the place, and he's like, why? And he's like, that's more of a step towards permanency that I don't want. So I'm just going to stop it. And I'm just, part of me is really worried that if Japan keeps catering and allowing more foreigners to come in, then Japan's going to adapt to more foreigners, meaning that like more places are going to have English menus, more people are going to learn learn English like TV shows and everything are going to have like way more of like a bigger presence here in Japan, and I feel like Japan, especially in the touristy areas, is going to lose a lot of that local stuff that makes Japan so interesting for people to come over and check out. You know, like you don't go from New York just to go to another place that looks like New York, right? And I don't know, it's just like when you start caring about tourism more than your own, because it all comes down to money, right? Like if people, like, you know, Japanese people are already pretty jaded about the shitty economy and government and stuff, and then if you give them a reason to make money and see this like more like, oh, they're making more money over there, maybe I should like learn, I don't know, you know what I mean? But tell me if I'm wrong. You know, I'm premiering this, so let me know in the chat. I'm probably in the chat right now, but yeah, you know, let's keep going.
Confusion, the government set this goal, which many Japanese people find unrealistic or reckless, as they feel like they already got too many issues. And recently, even some of the politicians start to criticize that we shouldn't focus on tourism too much because it's not sustainable.
インバウンドだとかっていうような政治家がいるとするならば、もう間抜け、例えば疫病の流行、日韓関係、日中関係みたいなものが不安定になった時に入ってこなくなる。つまりは外的な要因によって左右されやすいようなものを目玉として挙げるって最悪のパターンなんですよ。
Most Japanese might agree on that point and want the government to focus on developing other industries instead.
日本が製造業からサービス業の国になりましたね。それが一番大きな理由だと思いますね。製造業が引っ張って日本の国はこうなったんだけれども、サービス業ですね。観光客大勢来るでしょう。今もう外国人がものすごいですね、渋谷は。
一番はやっぱり国内、安定する生活をもとに国内や海外旅行を楽しめるような状況を作っていかなきゃダメなんですよ。
お店やってる方とかはね、盛り上がって嬉しいかもしれないですけど、お店とかやってなくお家が浅草にあるって方々からしたらちょっと困るなって時もあるかもしれないです。やっぱ自分の街をね、汚くされたくないとかある。
Some people even say that's the reason why charging tourists more would be justified, especially workers might be feeling like it because of language barrier or cultural difference.
結構ポイ捨てしちゃう人とか、ゴミ袋にも分別しないで捨てる方多いので、私たち分別して捨ててるので、まあそれは困るなって思うんですけど。
見やすすぎるのもゴミの問題とかいろいろあるから。
路上にゴミを捨てやったりとか、コンビニの前で大声で話したりとか、エスカレーター一つ取ってもこう両方にこう陣取って。当然日本人の感覚とは違うものを持ってますから。
My Japanese friend also finds it unfair and wishing that we could charge much higher price, like doubling the price.
まあ私たちもそうですし、毎朝掃除してて、やっぱ散らかされた分だけ掃除はしてるので。
気をつけてほしいなと思って、ちゃんと自分のゴミは自分で。
But some people argue that we should compromise. And despite of the obvious issue, some cities like Tokyo don't seem to take much action, which frustrates many tourists.
When I eat them, I have no place to throw my package. It's an inconvenience.
One thing that I find most annoying is it's hard to find somewhere to throw trash.
The hardest thing in Japan is no trash cans.
I don't like to carry my trash. I know it's against Japan, like the culture, it's supposed to be really clean. But I think if we had trash cans, it would be easier.
まあ僕はそのルールは例えば路上にゴミを捨てないとか、道に広がって歩かないとか、赤信号を守るとか、そういうのだけ最低限守っていただいて。
まあポイ捨てしない、まあ電車の中で騒がないとか、まあ落書きしないとか、日本人が日本で守ってるなんか最小限のルールみたいな。まあ観光地とかってそうですけど、ここに来たっていう印をつけたくなる人いますけど、やっぱり大事なもの、歴史的なものだったりするので、守っていけたらいいなと思います。
This issue got huge media attention last year and caused a huge anger towards foreign tourists.
ここですね。SD というのがこんなに書いて、ものすごい憤りを感じた。
防犯上のリスクが高く、カメラ10台、赤外線センサー24回線を設置し、警戒に当たっています。
まあ年間費なかなかな、それでお守りができるのであればいいのかなというふうには。
やはり多くの方たちもショックと憤りを感じているんではないかなと思いますよね。
But many of my foreign friends argue that quite often they don't mean it, especially if the cultural difference is too big.
Is it maybe difficult to understand Japanese manners?
I think so, especially for Americans. We have a very kind of individualist culture where we're very loud, stuff like that. I think it's kind of opposite of Japanese culture. So I understand locals' frustrations with tourists.
To be fair, many of the US tourists, for example, have never come to Japan before, while Korean or Asian tourists probably already know how it works more, and we can assume that first-time tourists more likely to misbehave innocently, though this kind of incident is still unacceptable regardless, in my opinion.
Some tourists say Japanese culture, like mannerism, it's quite tricky.
There's signs everywhere that says no littering right there. It's clear, it's just people who don't want to respect the people here, the nation, the laws.
And I have seen videos of tourists being very disrespectful. I find it very troubling because I think it gives all of us a bad rap.
That includes foreign residents here. Even today, some Japanese people don't differentiate them from tourists, and the Japanese media is still quite biased about it.
They keep like only showing like bad things about foreigners here.
He points out, even today, some Japanese have the assumption Gaijin supposed not speak Japanese or not behave well, right? But maybe that assumption doesn't apply to the vast majority of foreign tourists or residents.
例えば渋谷って外国人の前に日本人の若者がかなりそういう悪いマナーでいらっしゃいません。日本人もやってるから自分たちもやっていいやっていう場合もあるし。
Of course, like there are foreigners.
Oh, it's already the end of the video? Okay, wait, hold on.
There's, that would do bad things, but I just don't like, everybody does. On the social media, like when there is like a Japanese person doing something bad, they would say like, oh, Chinese. And it's like.
Okay, so it's the end of the video. It is kind of bullshit when like you see a foreigner doing something bad. There's one Twitter account he's loved to like post things out of context for clips, including my stuff on occasion, and he gets bigger and bigger by hate raging, or what do you call it, rage baiting or so. He just retweets the same stuff to piss people off to get the engagement. He's really smart for doing that, but at the same time he's not doing Japan or foreigners any favors by posting that shit all the time, in my opinion. But, yeah, what is it? It's like, whenever a Japanese person does, like, you gotta remember, like, Japan has the bigger population here, so even when foreigners do something or whatever, right, like, you gotta remember, there's probably, like, 5 other Japanese people who did it, too. I think that it's one of those things where it's like Japan needs to adapt, or they need to adapt in one way or another, right? They either need to adapt by, like, for example, the trash can stuff, right? Yeah, like, I don't mind carrying around trash. I have my left pocket. In my left back pocket is always my trash pocket. So if I get something for the convenience store, or I have, like, some receipts or something, like, I put it in my back pocket until I go to a convenience store. Yeah, guys, if you have trash, just throw it away at the convenience store. All convenience stores have trash cans. But, yeah, I mean, like, it's either Japan starts making more trash cans and they start putting them everywhere, or they start handing out fines or something. Like, the thing is that, like, a lot of the people that are breaking the rules, I'm guessing, are not rich people, And so it's like Japan's been in this kind of like Disneyland state of not having to deal with like the worst of the worst that the world has to offer, right? Like, if you go to Singapore doesn't play around. Like, you spit on the ground or something, they'll beat your ass in front of everybody with canes, They don't care. They're not doing any kind of like emergency embassy coming to save your ass kind of thing. Like, they don't play, dude, So it's like it's either Japan has to like adapt and like make it easier for foreigners to be like, oh yeah, here's a trash can, or whatever kind of shit, or they just go super hardcore and they only let in people with a lot of money come in for tourism. And like so like anytime you do something bad, like I recommended this on John Dobbs' stream, where it's like, if you do something bad, you don't like where it was like you broke like a hotel thing or whatever, of course you'll have to pay for it, but you get your you get like a thing, like the cops write down your passport information, because you have to carry around your passport always when you're a tourist here. They write that down, and then on the way out of Japan, you pay a fine. And if you don't pay that fine, you're not allowed back in for like 5 or 10 years or something, right? And I think that would be a great way, but Japan doesn't want to be strict like that because they're making so much money off of tourism right now. They don't want to be harsh on, because like, I bet from the Japanese government's point of view, they're probably thinking, hey, there's people that like do graffiti and they throw trash on the ground, but we're making so much money. We don't give a shit about any of this stuff. Like, you know, like they're telling their own Japanese people, cope, bitch. I'm making so much money. But I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments down below. Great video, Nobita, like always. And yeah, if you guys want to see more of these reactions, I've got a whole playlist of them as the first top comments. So go over and binge those. And yeah, don't forget to smash the like button. And if you ever wanted to learn Japanese, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/TkyoSam. We will get you from zero to fluent very quickly. And we have an awesome community of awesome, hot, sexy Giga Chads and Giga Chadettes. So go click on that Discord link and follow me on the socials and blah, 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 blah. I'm out of here. You guys stay black. Otsukaresama deshita. Yeah, buddy. Bow.
It's time you bit the bullet and started caring about something with all your heart and energy. But you can't care about it if you're always holding yourself back in case it doesn't work out.